All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. And I've been wanting to do a stem cell update. For any of y'all that have watched the channel for a really long time, you've known that I've had like back issues. Well, my back issues weren't my back. It was stemming from my shoulder, which was messing up my neck, which was messing up my spine. And I went to 6 or 8 different kind of chiropractors, advanced orthogonal, non-direct force technique, Gonstead, man, you name it. I've done every type of chiropractic. Did a Rosti helped a lot. But the problem is I had encapsulative arthritis in my left shoulder. And due to that arthritic condition, the size of the head of my shoulder was 40% smaller. And whenever that was the case, was it a genetic degenerative thing? Nobody knows. But fast forward to 2022, and a bunch of scar tissue got built up and what have you. 4 different orthopedic surgeons said, you need a shoulder replacement. They did the MRIs and x-rays and all that stuff. You need a shoulder replacement. And then my sports medicine doctor is like, no, you know what? I think I can clean it out. And I think I can buy you some time, and we'll go in there and we'll clean it out. So he goes in there and cleans it out. And 3.5 hours later, he was like, oh, just wanted to let you know that's the worst shoulder I've ever seen.
You need a full shoulder replacement.
Yeah, you need a full shoulder replacement. Had 4 separate orthopedic surgeons tell me I need a full shoulder replacement.
He had tried to go in and do it without, he said, let me just go in and try
to clean it up.
Not
buy you some time.
A full shoulder replacement. Yeah. Let me just see if this and that will work. And he did like a whole bunch of things and worked on you for like 3.5 hours straight.
And they did a bicep, they did a bicep tendinosis where they cut your bicep off your shoulder, pin it down here.
Just to give it more space between the arthritis.
Yeah. So we did all that when was that? Was that in December? That was right before we went on our cruise. No. So
we did that 6 months before that.
Yeah, 6 months.
So
okay.
So like June.
Yeah. So we did the clean out last summer, and then it was very dire prognosis. And basically then it just always came back to, well, you need a new shoulder. So there's not really anything we do. I did all the rehab, and it was terrible, and it sounded terrible and disgusting and clicking and popping. And it kept feeling like my shoulder was going to fall out of the socket and all kinds of great stuff. It was pretty terrible. Right. So,
but that surgery did give you a lot of relief from the pain.
1,000,000% relieved the pain. And like, if you're watching the video, you can see now how much smaller this shoulder is. So we did all that stuff and was doing the rehab, but I couldn't really do anything in the rehab other than just range of motion. And I lost all muscle tone completely in the entire shoulder and in the shoulder blade. And it looked like
a skeleton.
Yeah, skeleton with skin wrapped on it. Mm-hmm. And so I was talking to one of my chiros, and he said, you know what? One of my clients went to this guy in Dallas, and he gave me his information. And I'm like, oh, well, you know what? I'll look into it. And I hate driving to the city so much, especially Dallas, that I'm like, well, let me see if I can get this done around here. So I talked to my sports medicine doc, and he was like, oh, yeah, we do stem cell and PRP. And he gave me this pharmaceutical brochure, and it absolutely wasn't stem cells. And I forget all the biological nonsense it said on there. And it was from straight up like Pfizer or AstraZeneca or something like that. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing this. And then there was another local joint and medicine place, and they were like, sure, come in, and it'll be about 10 to 12,000. And I didn't really feel good about that place either. So I'm like, well, when all else fails, resort to your referral. So we called them. We went out there. We met with it's Don Buford, and here I'm gonna post his bio there, but the website is orthobiotexas.com. orthobiotexas.com, Don Buford. But he's been involved in stem cell basically since the beginning, and he participates in all of the clinical data, and he's tracking all this stuff. And he said, and he gave me the rundown on stem cell and PRP. And he told me, he said, any kind of stem cell you get, even if it's from cord blood or if it's been frozen, or certainly if it's like pharmaceutical, it's dead. Like those stem cells are dead unless they're actively extracting your bone marrow, spinning it out, and you're getting real live stem cells. Whatever you're getting is dead. So here's what you can expect. We can freeze your shoulder in its current state by giving you stem cell injections. And what that'll do is it'll give you 3 months of healing where you will continue to improve. And he said, and then the hope is you kind of plateau for 3 to 5 years, and we get you back into a pain-free place for the next 3 to 5 years. And then as it starts to wear off, we do another round of stem cell treatments. So, and then he's like, within 3 weeks, you'll start to have an improvements, and you will plateau in like 3 months. And we had already planned our cruise. So we're like, oh, it's perfect timing. That's right when we will be leaving for the cruise. So that's kind of cool and all stuff. Decided to get the stem cells. And they did it same day on site, and they bore into your muscle, into your bone. It's really cool
because they're using your stem cells.
Yeah. So they bored into my hip, and they sucked out like 90 cc's of bone marrow, and they spun it down to like, I think 11 cc's of stem cells or something like that. And then he uses a ultrasound to strategically inject it. So he did 2 injection sites, and he documents all this stuff. This is all for this case study. And so got the shots, went home, 3 weeks went by, and I'm like, huh. And we went on a cruise, and we had a great time, pain-free and everything, but I didn't really feel like I was getting that much better. And I'm like, oh no, well, like maybe this isn't going to work. And the other thing I did is I ramped up my chiropractic, because I kept feeling like my neck was affecting, like when my neck was out, I would feel it in my shoulder. And when my neck was in, my shoulder felt good. So I'm like, there's definitely a correlation here. It can't heal, and my neck keeps going out. So I'm doing a lot of different neck stuff, and staying real current with the chiropractor, going a couple times a week and everything. Well, so then I started to improve. And then I got all of my muscle tone back. I still, my range of motion, I can't do shoulder presses,
Well, I think what first happened was that you were using that TENS.
Yes. I was using a TENS unit.
A TENS unit. And it's a little electrical unit, if you don't know what that is. And you had it on basically all day long. You might turn it on and off, but you kept it in your pocket, and then you just always had it attached to your shoulder.
Yeah.
And you could just give yourself a break and then turn it back on, and then give yourself a break. And then that got the blood and the stimulation going back in your shoulder again. So you did that for a few months.
Yeah.
I think up until like maybe 2 months ago, maybe.
Yeah. 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And so I got this stem cells in November. Yeah.
The end of November.
The end of November, got the stem cells. So according to the data, I was supposed to improve for 3 months. Well, it's going to be June tomorrow, I think is the first day of June. So I'm 6 months out, and I'm continuing to improve. Because what's happened is about 30% of the back of my labrum is missing. Not only is the head of my shoulder like 60% of what it should be, it's 60%, I'm missing like 40% of the mass of the shoulder head. The back 30% of the labrum is gone. And so I'd asked him, because of some of the stuff I had read, I'm like, will these stem cell regrow the labrum? Because some spots online said that it would. And he said, no. I'm like, oh, well.
Right. But the amazing thing is that we thought that you had kind of plateaued about 2 months ago, maybe. and it still wasn't super great. I mean, you didn't have pain, but you weren't super functional. But in the past couple months, you've really gained a lot more function.
Yeah, I can't, I can't do pull-ups yet. I don't know if I've, with this whole, I think one of the things is where my bicep tendinosis procedure is healing. It takes an entire year to recover from that. So I think that's part of it. And that's why I continue to
Yeah.
have progress, but it's definitely continues to improve.
Right.
And so I just wanted to put this out there because I didn't look to see how many videos were online, but I do want to encourage you if you're considering it. One, consider somebody with a track record that's done this.
Yeah.
And two, it's got to be live stem cells, absolutely.
Right.
And he said everything else is a total crock. If they've been frozen or suspended or whatever, they're dead and they're shooting dead stem cells into you, and it is totally non-effective. I can highly recommend Don Buford. They spent an enormous amount of time and
Just educating us
yeah,
during the first
doing a
visit.
chalk talk, doing
Right.
all the education,
Yeah.
doing all the
And
explanation.
he was a surgeon before this. Oh, he still is a
Oh
surgeon,
yeah, yeah.
but he so he has that background, and he's done full joint replacements and things in the past.
And that's why he got into stem cells, because
Right.
he was like, these replacements are okay, but they're only temporary.
Right. And
And
there's some people that he felt that could be helped
yeah, and that was
without
the
them.
great thing is he was like, look, he's like,
He was
now,
going to tell us honestly.
yeah, are you going to go back to, because I used to lift weights every day, 5, 6 days a week since I was like 19. So we're talking about a really long time. And it's something I really loved and enjoyed. I always encourage people to do intense exercise. It's good for your blood sugar. It's good for your mood and everything. It was really something that I really enjoyed. And it definitely helped me to do everything I needed to do in life and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So you were saying he was realistic with saying, like, we're going to get you pain free, but you're not going to be like the next
Back to normal.
Tiger Woods. You're not going to go like, swing a golf
Yeah,
club.
he's like your range of motion. And this is one thing that he said. He's like, wherever your range of motion is, it's kind of where it's at. Now, my range of motion has improved and is continuing to improve. So, but I'm not deluded in thinking that,
Right.
and hey, God can do anything and God could completely heal me. And if he wants to do that, I'm ready for it. I can accept that. But I want to encourage you to look into it. And we are part of Samaritan ministry. So we do a medical sharing program. We've been participating in Samaritan for over 12 years now, and it is an absolute blessing. And this is completely reimbursable inside of a sharing plan, and it is not in a healthcare plan. They will not pay for a penny of it.
Right. And the cost was
$5,000. And you pay up front.
And
we paid that day.
he was really honest. And another thing, we did trust him. And he was, very real with what your situation was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And he was honest. He didn't blow any smoke. He didn't try to overpromise or anything,
But there's people that fly and come to see him for treatments
from all over the country.
Yes.
Yeah. East Coast, West Coast, Canada. He has some really great reviews, and I can't recommend him enough. And I hope my one buddy is watching this, who they're telling me needs an ankle replacement. I hope you're watching this, and I hope
it's worth a try.
you call Donnie Buford. It's way worth the try, and it's way better than any kind of joint replacement.
Yeah, because worst case, it didn't work.
It didn't work, and you have to get a joint replacement.
You're just in the same boat.
But you tried,
Sure.
And if it does work, I mean, it's been an absolute answer to prayer, and it's been miraculous. And I didn't, even after I got it and I thought where I plateaued and everything and it was over, I'm a stem cell super fan, and I'm thankful that we did it when we did it. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing, is why you should look into it now, is if you're having any issues, because I do know of a couple people with knee issues and they got the stem cells and it fixed it like all the way. The longer you wait and as it degenerates, most of
Yeah.
the time, all the stem cell is going to do is preserve it in its current state. So
Right.
the longer you wait and put it off,
Right.
it's not benefiting you.
Because we even had him look at your other shoulder, because your other shoulder has some arthritis in it too. But he said it it wasn't quite
Yeah,
like
what had
having that.
happened is my bad shoulder was affecting my neck and back so much, it was creating the same symptoms in my good arm, and that was really actually what pushed me over the edge to actually go get the roto rooter job done on my shoulder, because I literally thought my right shoulder was doing the same thing as my left shoulder, and I'm like,
Right.
pretty soon I'm not going to have any arms left.
Mhm.
And but thankfully, I had all of the doctors check the right shoulder too, and everybody's like, no, everything looks cool with the right shoulder. And then after I got it all cleaned up and everything and got my neck straightened out, my right shoulder has given me no problems, no pinching, no numb,
Right.
no
And by
weakness.
going there every whatever 3 to 5 years, they're going to be able to x-ray it and just to make sure and keep an eye on the other shoulder, and we could catch it so much earlier if you started to have arthritis or
Yeah, well,
something degenerative.
I'm super, whatever this thing was in my left shoulder is a fluke, and it's been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
So if my right shoulder is good, Lord willing, it's probably going to be that way.
Yeah.
It's not, and the doc's like, what could have caused this? This could have been like a fever, a really high fever when you were a baby or a young child. They don't know. There's no reason why I should have had that in my shoulder. And I've always been very active, and have I've done an enormous amount of weight training, and I've injured my right shoulder a dozen times between tennis, football, and shoulder presses and kettlebells and all that stuff. And I had never hurt my left shoulder ever. I've ripped my rotator cuff, and I've always rehabbed from that kind of stuff. That was the thing. Like,
Mhm.
I've always been able to bore through and be really strict. And so I just thought this whole left shoulder thing was like, I'll just do what I always do. I'll bore through it, and I'll get my Rosti and get all my chiropractic. But this time it was no bueno, senor. So, but I cannot say enough great things about Don Buford. Thank you, Don. If you're watching this, appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just appreciate everything about their approach.
Yeah.
And the way they handle everything. And they text me like every couple months, how you doing, and tracking your pain levels and everything. And so far,
That's
every time
good.
it keeps getting better, which is kind of wild and crazy. But it when you're younger, not that I'm that young, I'm 47, but when you're younger and you have young children, 3 and 4 year olds and all that kind of stuff, and you think of this fact of like, I always had this dream. Matt now is like really starting to weight train and everything. I always had this dream like, oh, I can't wait to lift and weight train, with your kids and everything, because it was something that I was really passionate about and I love to do. And for whatever reason, that's not right now. That's not what's going to happen, which is fine. I'm at peace with it and everything. But when you have little ones and you want to participate in their life and swing them around and do all that stuff, it's pretty psychologically traumatic to think that you can't do that. And that especially if you're a man and you're trying to be that figure for your children, and then you're so um debilitated, and I have a lot of compassion and sympathy for people that have joint problems and that are in chronic pain, because I really can absolutely relate to that.
Mhm.
Systemic, long, chronic pain. I
Yeah.
mean, there was several years there that I didn't sleep.
Yeah. Well, it was about 7.5 years from the time that your pain was, I would say, debilitating, when you were losing, feeling in your arm, your whole arms were going numb. That was back
Yeah, that was a long time
before
ago.
we were even pregnant with Big Tex.
Yeah.
And so that's been it was been a long, long, long time of pain
Yeah.
and progressively getting worse pain. So yeah, we're just super thankful, and we were just astounded to hear that you were not going to need a full shoulder replacement, especially being as bad as it was, because he said it basically looked like a 85-year-old person who had had a really, really rough life.
Yeah, like worked
Um,
in a rock quarry or a concrete
so
mason
we
or
were just
something.
like, really? And it's not going to need to be replaced? Because that's all we've heard for the whole time. And he's like, I don't think it's going to need a
Yeah,
replacement.
it's very disappointing when you talk to a traditional medicine doc, even an orthopedic surgeon, and their only thing is like, well, I don't know what to tell you. You need a shoulder replacement.
Right,
So,
right,
like, it's not going to get any better. This
right,
is as good as it gets.
right.
And
And there's some people that are at that point that it's totally gone and they will need a
right.
replacement. There's no promises with anything, but it was just amazing that
Yeah, it's just shoulders aren't good for like 20 or 30 years. They're good for like
right,
10 or
right.
15.
It's not one replacement. It's
And
going to be a
yeah,
couple
and they
surgeries,
lop the
and
head off of your shoulder,
yeah, it's a big deal.
and then and you lose bones. So then when they do the second replacement, you're going to lose more bones.
Yeah.
So the doc's just like, the longer you can kick that can down the road,
Mhm.
and it's pretty amazing. I can do like sissy push-ups, and I have almost full range of motion. I can hang from a pull-up bar easy, no problem, super wide grip. So I praise the
And you
Lord.
don't have pain,
No pain. I can sleep at night.
which is great.
It's great. And I only go to the chiropractor like once a week instead
Right.
of like every day.
Right. The first surgery that you had was actually a good thing, and that should have happened to give that space, and that's probably why you're going to have a good chance at seeing a lot of improvement too, that he
Mhm.
would have actually recommended that you have that, because that space in there
Oh yeah, well,
needed to
I had
happen.
I had so much scar tissue, y'all. My shoulder couldn't move,
Yeah.
and the scar tissue was pressing on a nerve, and that's
Yeah.
where all the pain was
Yeah.
coming from. So yeah, I mean, as far as the scope,
Yeah.
all the scope work was kind of
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
So, and my concern about that with the scar tissue was like, well, obviously the scar tissue is going to build back up, right?
Mhm.
Because that's why I was there in the first place. So, but things are still improving, getting
Yeah.
better,
Praise the
and
Lord.
we give God all the honor and the glory for that. And I really appreciate Dr. Buford and his whole staff. And there's like some great people. And so if you do have any joint issues, definitely consider it, think about it,
Mhm.
pray about it, get some talk to somebody that knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
and somebody with some real experience. And I just want to encourage y'all.
Yeah.
Wanted to put this video out. I've been wanting to do it for a while, just to encourage whoever I need to encourage.
Mhm.
And here's the other thing, y'all. I mean, we're all supernatural and natural and all that stuff. And God can heal people, and you should eat a holistic diet with the proper vitamins and minerals and nutrients. And you should absolutely drink organic bone broth and sulfur and MSM and all this stuff, y'all. And
We have cabinets
I did
full
all
of
that.
that
I
stuff.
have, I have
We
truckloads full of
and
that
we
stuff,
still do it.
and we still do it.
Yes.
We still eat as good as we can. We
Mhm.
still supplement, and all that stuff is great.
Mhm.
But there are some people that will just like deny reality and be like, well, you just need to, did you now, when you made your bone broth, did you boil the chicken's feet so that you get all the
Right,
collagen and all the
right,
stuff? I
right.
mean, it's just, it's like,
Well, and the thing with you is that it was just compounding so much that if we had waited another, I don't know, I mean, I would have to ask him, but like, say 5 years, what kind of condition would you be in? I mean, we could have gone
well,
in,
we couldn't have waited 5 years.
yeah.
Wouldn't even, I couldn't sleep at night and everything else. So it was what it was.
Mhm.
And, thankful
Yeah.
that and I pushed it off as long as I could,
Mhm.
because I bet you a year or two prior to that, I was referred to the same doctor, and I just drug my feet on it. I'm like, oh, well, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
I'll keep drinking the bone broth and doing the stretching and go to a
Mhm.
Rosti. So I'll switch chiropractors again for the 5th time,
Mhm.
you know, and so I hope this encouraged somebody. I hope it helps somebody. I hope it hits somebody at the right time.
Yeah.
I'm going to post Dr. Don's stuff again here. I want
And
to,
they have, just like any doctor's office now, they have video calls and all that kind of stuff. So, um, it was just really a great experience. There was
yeah.
probably like maybe 2 or 3 doctors who specialized in this in the Dallas area, and thankfully, the Lord led us to him, and it has been a success so
You know,
far.
and I'm not a doctor, and I didn't play one on TV, and I didn't stay at Holiday Inn Express last night. So
Right.
obviously, consult whoever. You know, this isn't some kind of medical advice or statement, and it's kind of stupid that you have to say stuff like that. But, and lastly, if you appreciate type of information that we put out and that we share, please visit TheTexasBoys.com. Don't forget to get your honey money, y'all. The gowns are back in stock. You can get your honey money. Your honey lasts forever, y'all. It's your perfect pantry, perfect for your pantry, and it will last forever. And it's a great barter and all that kind of cool stuff. So the debt ceiling just got passed, so it's really exciting. Don't worry. There's not going to be any more hyperinflation. It won't get worse. Don't worry. But isn't it great? All right. We love y'all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.